What a great year it has been, right? A lot of solutions have been built and deployed. The industry has been maturing. What's your take on how things went this last year?
Well, as you know, our primary focus at the Consortium is to build test beds and learn from those test beds. So we've been publishing results over the last 6-8 months, and our Journal of Innovation is now coming out every other month with the test bed results. And it's worth pointing out that our working relationship with Plattform Industrie 4.0 has been tremendously successful over the last couple of years. So you have real interoperability and portability between applications built for the industrial internet reference architecture and RAMI 4.0, the Industry 4.0 architecture, and vice versa.
In fact, all the solutions that we build have been interoperable solutions. Because our customers, as I mentioned last year, same time, are global in nature. They have solutions that have to be deployed in Europe, in US, and elsewhere. So Henning, what are you seeing in the industry?
Overall, looking at the developments in the industry, for us, what is hugely important, we've succeeded within the platform with all the national, international partners to really put a milestone in terms of interoperability, because we have developed and specified this administration shell, which is sort of the internet interface of a physical object. So that we have this data shell, and with that the communication ability with other objects. I think that is a major step, sort of important, from the abstract reference architectures, IRIA, RAMI, and the others, now much more specific. We have developed concrete solutions for a specific industrial sector. What we see now, right, for the one vertical, what we see, as you have also already been doing in the IIC in some parts, is they're relevant for the other sectors as well. So we can now more and more transfer them actually to other areas of application. The notion of data economy, platform economy, this is something we are going to have a closer look now in the Platform Industrie 4.0, is just to think about more systematically how are markets going to change, what does that mean for companies and how to reposition themselves, what do you need to learn about the new mechanisms in the market, because they're going to be data-based markets.
Disruptions in agriculture and healthcare and manufacturing and transportation and smart cities, and well, I don't have to name them for you, some of them you've actually built. We're seeing disruptions across the board, and we're essentially a list of about 300 companies that realize their industries will be disrupted and are trying to cause that disruption, invent the future rather than wait for the future. I think it's also instructive to realize that other organizations have seen our working relationship and said, we'd like to be in there too.
What do you see as some of the major transformations from a technology and adoption and people, both on people, process, technology standpoint, that you see in the coming year?
Everyone assumes the major inhibitors are in fact standards and security. They're not. That's just not true. The real inhibitor is talent. It's how do you train, how do you retrain, how do you find people? I'm sure you found the same thing at Wipro, but we've got to get to the point where we're training people for these new technologies, using them in real situations. Why test beds are so important, because you learn from test beds by actually building those systems. And that's our major challenge, I think, for the next year.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. The discussion here is, in the last years, we have focused a lot sort of on the blue-collar sector, always facing the challenge. It's not only educating those who enter now the workforce, it's retraining those who are already in the workforce.
Existing,
and these are the numbers, right? And then you have to ask, who, especially if we also include white-collar, and I think that is an important new step, right? What about the engineers, in the early training, but also later on? How do we reskill them, retrain them? Think of it as these are different targets group you need to look at. And if you want to address all of them, what does that mean for the educational system in a broad sense? It starts in the schools, high schools, universities, but it's also in all kinds of academies, training courses, whatever, for those people already in work. And these are millions, Where do you send them, right?
I think I'll articulate a couple of things that are changing. From this year, what we saw is the focus has been on the plumbing and the infrastructure. Getting things smart, getting things connected, having remote services platforms to provide those kinds of services. Now that people have gone beyond that and then scale deployments are happening, people are more into what do you do with the analytics, what do you do with the insights, how do you do service lifecycle management, how do you kind of come the closed loop, all the way from as used to as designed and as
I put this as,
manufactured,
now I've got this huge stacks of data, what do I do with it?
Absolutely.
And we're getting to the situation where we can finally actually, either at the edge or in the cloud, process that information, learn something, do proactive developments and preventive maintenance, and I think that's what's going to transform a lot of industries.
Absolutely. In fact, as more and more people adopt, deploy, implement, and realize some true business value from these projects, these test beds, these solutions, the more scale deployments happen, the better accelerated this path will be. So I'm looking forward to a very exciting year ahead. Thank you, Richard. Good to see you again. Henning.
Thank you, James.
So.
Henning, always a pleasure.